Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. A big thank you to Kai Lear for the thumbnail that you're looking at. I wish I could make those. All right, we don't have too much royal family news. Once again, a lot of Harry and Meghan stuff. Let's just jump in. There's a lot. Let's go. We are going to start off with Princess Anne, who on behalf of King Charles held her 6th investiture of 2025 at Windsor Castle. This is the 12th investiture of the royal family in 2025. William held the 4th and the 7th. King Charles held the 3rd, the 5th, the 8th, and the 11th. And Princess Anne has done all the others. She really is one of the hardest working royals. Now, next up, thank you to Sarah's Secret on Twitter for this one. I didn't see this, but Princess Margaret's Cartier Diamond Rose brooch is on display at the Cartier Jewelry Exhibition at the V&A Museum. The exhibition has more than 350 objects, including some royal jewels loaned by the royal family, and the exhibition will run until November 16th. Let's go back to Princess Anne again. She went to visit the 22 Signal Regiment, which is the Royal Corps of Signals, to mark the end of their public duties in London guarding the royal palaces. Her visit was topped off with an inspection of those that were on parade, and Anne has been the Colonel-in-Chief of the Signals since 1977. All right, next up, this isn't royal, but it is adorable. James Middleton released an adorable video of his son Inigo hanging out on the farm where he lives with his fabulous wife. They showed the little boy with his 2 dogs. They showed him having a conversation with his mother while he was on a tractor, and they showed him feeding some chickens, showing that he really does enjoy farm life. Moving on. Next up, Prince William. It was announced that he's going to go to work right after Easter. He's going to visit Mentivity, which is an organization dedicated to empowering young people through access to quality youth services and safe spaces. This is going to happen on the 24th. However, Catherine will not be joining him. Okay, I'm sure it'll still be fabulous. Okay, next up, I told you guys a few days ago that Piers Morgan even confirmed that Eugenie and Harry had fallen out. They were upset. Harry and Meghan were upset with her because a picture was taken of Piers Morgan hugging Eugenie. According to Piers Morgan, Harry was completely ballistic because she was socializing with him. And Harry's response was supposed to be because of Piers' constant criticism of Meghan Markle. But a quote-unquote source has told People magazine, which is Harry's go-to magazine, that rumors of a rift between the cousins is entirely untrue and they remain close. I'm sorry, I don't believe that for a second. I believe there is an issue and they're not speaking anymore. And of course, we know that People magazine, literally, Harry has a straight line to them. So he said, I can't have this out in the press. That's my personal opinion. Let's keep going. All right, this next story I saw on Nancy Sidley's wall. She brought it to attention. Mason Harriman has taken off Meghan Markle's picture on his top mention on Instagram. And then he did a rant where he's slamming Jose Andres. What he's going on about is that Jose Andres went to the White House to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor you can get from the United States. And the fact that he went there to the White House, was smiling, and made conversation with Joe Biden after 7 of his staff members had been killed in drone strikes by the military from the IDF. Because the United States supplied weapons to the IDF after Hamas attacked is what he's going on about. And he goes, I don't see how you can go and bend a knee to the man that could have stopped this happening. And certainly those 7 people would still be alive. How do you smile next to that man? Remember, Harry and Meghan are close to Jose Andres. They gave him a donation and they've been taking credit for his work ever since. So it appears that there's been some sort of a rift now with Mason Harriman and Meghan Markle. That's what I'm seeing from this. I agree. Moving on. Now, the next thing happened. Nikki Pretty put up this post that you see on Twitter. Obviously, she was talking about Meghan Markle. What it says is recently I've uncovered a new archetype during this Venus in Aries season, the hungry lady. She consumes other people's ideas by peeling away at their personas, ultimately cannibalizing their identities into bite-sized morsels for her devourment, seemingly only to merely replicate an existing recipe. Nom nom nom. Yeah, she's talking about Meghan Markle. All right, this next story was obviously leaked to People magazine, and then the other magazines picked it up once again by Harry and Meghan. They're saying there's so much to celebrate in the Sussex household because of Meghan Markle's big business win of the first quarter of 2025, her Netflix series with Love Meghan, her Lemonada podcast, and so the family decided that they were going to take a fabulous vacation for a celebratory spring break trip. Okay, so here's the first thing. First of all, Lemonada's not going well. Second of all, her sellout. We found out that she barely had any products for sale and she sold products that weren't available. Number 3, her with Love Meghan got absolutely panned. Number 4, if you're that worried about your security that you're suing for it, why are you letting people know that you're going away on vacation? They wanted you to know that it was a sun-soaked getaway. Now, they have vacationed before in remote villages in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they've gone to Costa Rica and Portugal because we know that they have a vacation place in Portugal that they're building. But I think making sure that you let everybody know you actually took your kids on vacation really isn't all that in a bag of chips. One of the things that got me was this headline. It's a rare vacation because Harry and Meghan are constantly traveling and they leave the kids home alone with Doria. So yes, it is a rare treat that the kids actually got to go somewhere with their parents. And I couldn't help but notice that when it came out that William and Catherine were on a ski vacation with their children, and it was all in the news complete with pictures, suddenly Harry and Meghan have to release that they took their children on vacation. This tit-for-tat stuff gets old. All right, now we know that Harry just gave another People magazine interview about the fact that his family is stonewalling him. But an inside source just shed some light into what Harry's doing, why he's being stonewalled. He apparently has been calling home to try to at least speak to his father, but he's getting stonewalled. And so he feels like his only option is to get over there in person and push his way in. And in this article, it's being insinuated that Camilla and William and courtiers would rather he stay away, but he's not going to let them block him. So he's basically insinuating that he's being blocked from seeing his dad. You know, it's absolutely true what this article says. Harry hated being a prince. He wanted out. He saw Meghan as his way out. The problem is you never really know what you have until it's gone. Because the truth is, now that he's out, he wants back in. He's like, I don't want the institution, but I want my family. Unfortunately, when you marry in haste, you repent in leisure. And you married a wife who's more interested in herself and furthering her career and herself than supporting her husband. And this is what you have. And here's a perfect example. That one on Twitter had these pictures. Look at Meghan talking and raising a toast. And Harry's in the corner and everybody's clinking glasses and he's just standing there. Perfect example. Now, as far as Meghan's title, 97% in a recent poll said that she should not be allowed to use that title. And everybody is saying that the day they left, those titles should have been stripped. And I think had the Queen known what they were going to do with them, she would have taken them. The problem is Meghan is using the title and the platform given to her after she married Harry in a bid to be liked by the world. She wants to keep the public gaze on her. She wants people to be obsessed with her. The problem is people aren't obsessed with her. People just don't like her. And now, as I've said before, she's throwing everything at the refrigerator to see what'll stick. And this podcast she's doing now is one of the things she's been throwing at the wall. And this is really upsetting people. She's talking about avoiding burnout, asking for help when you have, mental exhaustion. The problem is you're looking at somebody that has a nanny, a cook, somebody to do her makeup, somebody to blow out her hair, somebody to do everything for her. She has no responsibilities whatsoever. And people are sick of her victim mentality. One of the comments that was put up really caught my attention. It says, Meghan preaching about courage while playing the barefoot billionaire in her curated struggle. Spare us the theatrics, Duchess of Drama. All right, now this is one of the bigger stories for today. It was just announced that Meghan is going to be a keynote speaker at the Time 100 Summit on April 23rd in New York. Now, I found this interesting. She's going to be alongside Demi Moore and Ryan Reynolds. I'm trying to figure out why she's going to speak there because she is not on the list of the Times 100 list of influential people. But you know who is on that list? Megyn Kelly. And you know who else is going to be talking at this event? Ted Sarandos from Netflix. What does that tell you? So this is what I call a pay to play. WME has arranged for her to go and talk. There are so many people listed under the Times 100 influential, but Meghan is not listed on any of the 5 worldwide covers. You know who's listed on one of them? You know who's on one of the covers? Serena Williams. Now, they have multiple categories. They have artists, they have icons, leaders, titans, pioneers, innovators. You have really a lot of big name people. You have everybody from Scarlett Johansson to Ed Sheeran. You have Miranda July to Brandon Jacob Jenkins. You have some major people, Demi Moore. But you know who's not on the list? Again, Meghan Markle. I guess WME was unable to pay this time. Now, this next bit of information I found really interesting. One of the paparazzi is saying that when Harry and Meghan first came to California, there was a big mad scramble to find out where they were, staying, and every photographer in LA was trying to find out where they were. And they found out later on that Harry and Meghan were running around doing mock-up photo ops. They were doing setups. They would pop up and do charity work, and they were using their own photographers, so everybody got really frustrated. And he was absolutely right, because who can forget that not long after they showed up, suddenly the two of them just happened to be seen on the side of a road walking their dogs. And by the way, the photographer that took these pictures was Jeff Rayner, the same photographer that Meghan had worked with before, and the same photographer that took the pictures of Meghan's father, which she used as an excuse to never speak to him again. Personally, I think she set him up, but that's just my personal opinion. And then, of course, we know that the two of them were seen handing out meals during the coronavirus, and the two of them just happened to be spotted incognito with masks on, walking around. Now, remember, they only delivered 6 or 7 meals, and then they went home, just long enough to get the pictures. And then who can forget when the two of them went out to dinner with David Foster and his wife back when they were friends. They went out to dinner, and the paparazzi just happened to hear that they were going to be there, and these photos were taken. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that Harry and Meghan were using their own photographers to make sure that they stayed in the press at all times. Well, what's coming out now is that in the United States, interest for Harry and Meghan has died down a lot. So a lot of paparazzi don't bother chasing them anymore. They say it's not worth the hassle. The payday isn't the same. People don't care as much as they do. And while there's opportunities to get them, they want control, especially Meghan. So as a result, they're not having the kind of attention that they used to get. And that's totally Meghan's doing. People aren't stupid. You claim you want privacy while you're staging photo ops. People knew what was going on. Lately, they seem to be embracing the spotlight a lot more. I think they realize what they've done. All right, moving on. I wanted to touch on this story as we keep going. Apparently, Harry's going to Ukraine with Invictus has rubbed William the wrong way, they're saying, because William wanted to go, and the palace officials told him absolutely not. William did visit Estonia, one of Ukraine's neighbors, last month. Remember, he was in fatigues, he rode in a tank, it was really cold, and he went anyway. But I can see why he would be rattled if it's something he wanted to do and he was told no over safety fears. But let's be honest, Harry wasn't in any real danger. It was an unannounced trip. He had a gazillion bits of security paid for by Invictus. Let's be honest, he wasn't in any real danger. He never really is. What irritated me was they said that he was the first royal to visit Ukraine. That is a lie. Sophie was the first royal to visit Ukraine since the war started. I did a whole video on it. I showed you she was there for days. She was there to help women and girls that had been affected by the war. She did a great job, and it really kind of irks me that they didn't acknowledge the work that she did. It's always Harry, 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 and it's not true. And finally, an article just came out saying that Meghan basically keeps missing the mark, and she keeps making the same mistakes over and over. Again, if you don't succeed, try again. But she keeps having issues one after another. So let's take a look at some of her biggest flops. You have The Bench, which was called a semi-literate vanity project. In the UK, it only sold 3,200 copies in the first week of its publication, and only 8,000 copies were ever sold in that area. Terrible. You had Meghan's 40 by 40 project, which was a ripoff from Nelson Mandela, and it disappeared without a trace and was never mentioned again by Meghan nor listed on her website. They had their deal with Netflix where they did the 6-part series where all they did was whine about the family. However, their follow-up, Live to Lead and Heart of Invictus, totally bombed. Pearl was canceled. Meet Me at the Lake never made it to production. Polo was a joke. And the With Love Meghan cooking show showed that she's basically out of touch. Then you had the Spotify deal that Spotify pulled the plug on due to their lack of output, and they were basically lazy, and Bill Simmons ripped into them, calling them effing grifters. Meghan's new podcast isn't doing any better. Here's the main problem with Meghan as far as I can see. She's not accessible. She's not inspirational. She's overly ambitious. She sends crisscross messages. She's very impulsive. She's full of it, and she's a bad actress. Oh, my love, why don't you take a bath, my love? H, this is where we are. Nobody after 7 years of marriage is like that, but she wants everybody to drink the Kool-Aid, and nobody is. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Amazon wish list, a link to my father's book, which is still for sale, a link to my secondary channel. You don't want to miss that, as well as a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.